Welcome everybody to our Tuesday night shiur. Shiur is sponsored anonymously. Lezecher v'la'ilun nishmat Moreno v'Rabbeinu Ateret Roshenu Rabbi Shimon ben Rabbi Agassi, the Rebbe and the best friend of Rabbi Yehuda. And also Lezecher v'la'ilun nishmat Moreno v'Rabbeinu Ateret Roshenu, one of the greatest Russian rabbis. He was a Russian rabbi, but he was like this close to the Bukhari, like this. Rav Yitzchak Zilber. Tonight is his HELLULA. Tonight. He passed away the day before Tisha B'Av. I remember when I was in Kollel of Rav Baruch Babayev, his rabbi, which is in Israel, Rav Yakubov, he said the only reason why I was in the Kollel, why I got to Kollel, because of Yitzchak Zilber. He met me one day, I was on the way to London or to Vienna, and he said to me, I'm going to pay for your yeshiva ticket. Go to yeshiva. I said, I want to enjoy, Israelis. I want to enjoy life. He said, but take the money, I pay for you. Go see. And he went to Gateshead Yeshiva in London, and from there he made yeshivot, and he came here, and he made Rav Baruch Babayev, and he made this rabbi, and he made all the school of Yitzchak Zilber. So Lamaisa, I'm here only because of who? All my smicha and this, that, only because of who? And Rav Yitzchak Zilber. He was in the Russian concentration camps. How
old is he?
How old was he when he got to the camps? He was in his 40s. How long ago he passed away? I think he passed away 20 years ago? Less than 20 years ago. His son, Rav Ben-Zion Zilber, is one of the big Russian rabbis today. Toldot Yeshurun. One of the greatest Russian organizations. They translate all the books, this, that. They once came to 71st to the shul. I remember. You remember that day? We were there. It was out. Do you remember that day? We were learning Hilchot Kiddushin. And Rav Ben-Zion Zilber was there. I remember I read in his book, To Remain a Jew. I want to let you know one thing. When I got married to my wife, it's funny. Tonight is also my wife's birthday. That is her birthday. We usually celebrate her birthday a week early because we don't celebrate Shavuot Shahal. So she bought me this book, To Remain a Jew. I love these kind of books, but I said, okay, what could she buy me already? I don't want to swear. The second I opened up this book, I couldn't close the book. That's how amazing it was. To Remain a Jew. One of the greatest farim in the history, just full of Yirat Shamayim, full of stories. You see a Jew that gave his life to Torah. This guy used to go to work. In the University of Kazan, the Yitzchak Zilber, University of Kazan. There were two big doors to the university. Now, you think, if it was us, okay, Shacharit, Minchan, Aravit. Okay, we'll pray Shacharit. Minchan, Aravit, if the communists used to catch them, the KGB, there would have been death. They used to send them to the Russian gulags over there. There was a big college doors. He used to hide behind the doors. Mincha time, the student says, where are you going? He says, no, I'm coming right back. He used to hide behind the doors, huge doors, 40, 50 feet. And he used to daven over there. So they used to see their professor coming out of the door. Like, what are you doing? I'm just checking. The door is not gonna, like this. Years he used to do behind one time he was by I remember this story. He was by the bus stop. And he was davening shacharit over there. He's looking back and forth. Nobody's looking that he's davening. Suddenly, one of the professors of the Kazan college over there in Kazan, she sees his mouth moving. She's like, what are you, having a heart attack? She's like, why is his mouth moving? He's like, and they call an ambulance, this, that. By the time they call the ambulance, he already finished one eye. So they took him to the hospital. He acted like he had a heart attack. For what? Just so he could pray at tefillah. Could you imagine such? This is Rav Yitzchak Zilber. They said when he was in the Russian concentration camps, or they used to call it working camps, there were those Kosakim, the big, they were 7 feet tall, arms like a gorilla, strong guys. When they found out that in the middle of the concentration camp, the working camps over there, he was learning Torah. Rav Yitzchak Zilber's job was the hardest job over there in those camps. He was the water guy. It was He picked the job himself so he could learn Torah on the way back and forth. He says, the Torah that I learned, listen to this, guys. Rav Yitzchak Zilber today says, HELLULA. He says, the Torah that I learned in that camp, 3 years I was there, I never forget in my life. But the Torah I learned when I was in my house, that I forget. That Torah that I learned over there in the Ba'amelut, I sweat for it. I never forget in my life. He used to carry the water. He said the water was so cold in the working camps. When the water used to spill on his hand, it used to freeze his hand. He said, till today, he said, I don't know how I didn't get frostbite. I don't know how my fingers didn't fall off. The water used to spill and used to freeze on his hands. On his hands, we used to carry the water. One day, the communists caught him. He was learning Masechet Mikvaot, I think. Masechet Mikvaot. He was able to smuggle... What's Mikvaot? He was able to smuggle into the concentration camp, to this working camps, 3 Mishnayot. 3 Mishnayot. He was able to smuggle it in. They caught him after 2-3 years. They put him into a tribunal, like they had like a court case. One big Russian guy would stand over there, the judge, and they used to bring witnesses, fake witnesses. I saw him this. He's against the Tsar. I don't have to tell you guys this. We all know this. Stalin was a god. Mamish. When he died, nobody believed that he was dead. They thought he was a god. He's against Stalin, he's against this, he's against that. Suddenly 3 Kasakim came. The whole camp was afraid of them. Why? 7-8 feet tall, 7.5 feet tall. These guys were monsters. Each hand the size of a gorilla. They went to the judge. They took him by the hand, like by the. He said, "We're in this jail for 20 years. We always suffered from water. Since this Jew has been bringing us water, we never suffered. If you're gonna kill him, we're gonna kill you over here." I never forget this story. That's how he was set free. For smuggling in Mishnayot and a Tanakh, small Tanakh, he smuggled it. And the tefillin. How did he bring tefillin? He used to wear tefillin every day. How did he bring tefillin? His wife wore those fisherman boots. They had small tefillin, small, like the ones the rabbi wears, the small tefillin. She put the tefillin in her boot, like this. One here, yad, and rosh on one foot. And they said, "Why are you coming with this big foot?" "No, it's winter. This that. I want to bring my husband boots to wear. You have to, you might have some kind of Soviet secrets over there. You have to empty it out." She said, "Okay, no problem." She took the boot, she took it off of her foot, she took the tefillin, put it inside his shoe. Like this, they were willing to sacrifice their life for Torah. For 4 years, he didn't eat bread. Why? The halacha is, you cannot eat bread baked by who? By goyim. But in this kind of case, there's no gezerat chachamim, but he still didn't eat the bread of goyim. For 4 years, he ate rice. Rice! He said, when I came out of the gulag, the working camp, he said, when I used to look at rice, I used to want to throw up. 4 years, all he ate was rice. Why? Maybe the bread, when they used to cut the bread with a knife, they used to cut pork with it. Svinya. Lo aleinu. They used to cut it. He said, I don't want the knife that cut the PIG, I don't want it to slice my bread. This is Rav Yitzchak Zilber. I'm going to tell you one last thing about Rav Yitzchak Zilber. One last thing before we go to Shimon Agassi. His son, who's alive today, the head of the Russian Jews in Israel, told Dot Yeshurun, Ben Zion Zilber, when he was in Russia, in Soviet Union. I'll tell you 2 stories. When they finally got the permission, the Ta'udah, to pass the iron wall, they used to call it the iron wall, to Eretz Yisrael, Rav Yitzchak Zilber says, the first Shabbat he got to Yerushalayim. And they didn't know, the mamish didn't know. There was no news, there was no internet. What did they know? They got to Yerushalayim, and they thought they were coming to a place where Jewish people keep the Torah. First Shabbat came in, he's in Yerushalayim, and he sees cars driving. He didn't understand what it was. Rav Yitzchak Zilber. He gets in the middle of the street and he's like, "What? You're Jewish. You're not allowed to drive on Shabbat." Karochi got into a fight with the Chiloni, whatever, the secular Jew, didn't know better. Rav Yitzchak Zilber said, I swear, he writes in his book, to remain a Jew, I swear, for that second, I wanted to pack up my bags and go back to communist Russia. I'd rather live, he said, in the place where I felt that I was Jewish, and in a place where I'm Jewish, but I didn't feel that I was Jewish. But I stayed. Why did he stay? The Rosh Yeshiva of the Mir Yeshiva said, you're going to make more of a difference over here, and don't think he didn't make a difference in Russia. You know how many people he saved their lives? How many people he made religious in Russia and Soviet Union? You know where he was? In Tashkent. Yitzchak Zilber from Kazakhstan, he ran away to Tashkent. From Kazan, he got out of the jail. Then they wanted to send him back in jail. They caught him again. This time they want to send him and his wife. They want to take their kids, put them inside their universities over there, whatever. His wife told him, you right away, take the bags, run away. Where did he run away? Tashkent he ran away. Over there was big Chabad house. He said in his book, if you would see how those Chabadnikim used to give their life to keep the Torah and Mitzvot, to make a mikveh, just to make a mikveh, he said, you never saw giving over your neshama. There was a story once in Tashkent. Rav Yitzchak Zilber says this story. In Tashkent, they wanted to make a mikveh. There was two groups, Bukharsky, then there was the Ashkenazi group over there. Rav Shmuel Elishayev, not the Elishayev that made Bet Gavriel. Also, there's a Shmuel Elishayev. I don't know if they're cousins or not. He also donated. You know Shmuel Elishayev. Rav Yitzchak Zilber was his rebbe. Did you know that he was his? They hired him to be his teacher. So this Rav Yitzchak Zilber said they wanted to make a mikveh, and the head Bukharian guy over there who had the babki to give the KGB money to not look, he said, if I get to make the mikveh for you, this is the way I remember the story. You promised to give me your olam haba. Who was asking me the story today? You asked me this. If it's possible, Ma'ashem, the story came. It's in the book To Remain a Jew. He said, you know what the guy said? I'll give you olam haba for the mikveh, and ba'aya, take my olam haba. Make the mikveh. Make the mikveh. Similar story was with Rav Moshe Feinstein when he made the mikveh in Stari Rabin. There's some kind of place was that in Russia, Stari Rabin, 100 rabbis. In that city, it was like 100 rabbis was over there. How do you say 100 in Russian? Storabai, something. There was a city like that in communist Russia. And it's 100 rabbis. Storabin. Yes, that's what I said. So Rav Yitzchak Zilber was a big time. I'm going to tell you one last story. Rav Yitzchak Zilber, when he got to Israel, his son Ben Zion was a young man in his 20s. He sent him to the Mir Yeshiva. Mir Yeshiva is the biggest yeshiva today in the world, not in America. 70,000 in the world, more 70,000, I think, just in Israel. It's basically the Rabbi Akiva students looks like small to this yeshiva, Mir Yeshiva. He was in the Mir Yeshiva, and they went to an interview to the Rav Finkel, the Rosh Yeshiva. And he asked Rabbi Finkel asked Ben Zion Zilber, Rabbi Zilber said, what did you learn? What do you know? What Gemara? I want to know. What did you learn? So he told them, Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, you know the famous Gemara, Baba Batra, the famous three. And the Rosh Yeshiva started to cry. And Rav Ben Zion started to cry too. He was very ashamed. He left the room. He got accepted to the yeshiva. And they asked Rav Ben Zion, the student, why did you cry? He said, I'm embarrassed because maybe he thought I didn't learn enough. Then they asked the Rosh Yeshiva, why did you cry? He said, if he learned the 4 hardest masechtot in communist Russia, what are we going to say we live in freedom? That's why I cried. He thought he was crying because what does he know? He was really crying. This story I know for a fact. This is the story. I heard it from his own mouth, this story. If he learned that in communist Russia, imagine what we could learn. We live in freedom. This past Saturday night, was the HELLULA of the HaAriyah HaKadosh. I'm going to tell you something from the HaAriyah HaKadosh I didn't tell you guys Saturday night. Rabbi Chaim Vital, who was a student of the Ramak, and he has a Perush in the Zohar HaKadosh, Or HaChama, and he has a Perush before the HaAriyah HaKadosh wrote his book called Etz Hadat Tov. He asked his Rebbe, the Ari says, Rebbe, but he wasn't asking to put his Rebbe down. He asked him because he really wanted to ask him. Because why did you merit such a Gilui Shechina? You have the Gilui of Eliyahu Hanavi like nobody ever had.
Who has?
Ari HaKadosh, Reb Chaim Vital. So I asked him, how did you merit? I said, I also worked for it. I cried, I fasted, I did this, I did that, I rolled in the snow, whatever you want, I did. He asked his Rebbe, the Ari, why did you merit such a Gilui and I didn't? How come my Rebbe, my old Rebbe, the Ramak, of Moshe Cordovero, how come he didn't merit like what you did? It's a Shar Gilbulimi. It's in Shar, I think Shar Lametchet, Lametet. He asked him this. You know what the Ari told him? He says, you guys tried a lot. But I worked harder than all of you. I used to sit on a passage of a Zohar. I used to cry. Weeks. And they used to come to me in the dream and they used to tell me, you know what they used to tell me? Today you understood it incorrectly. Learn it again. They wouldn't tell me the answer, and when they would want to tell me the answer, I would say, don't tell me. I'm going to work to find out the answer. Then I would learn it again. Then they would tell me you understood it correctly, but that's not what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai meant to say. And then I would learn it again, and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, yes, this is what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai meant. And I used to work weeks on week on a passage. I never used to give up. Lahavdil, a person goes to college. He doesn't care what's his opinion. He just cares to get an A. He wants to know what the professor wants from him. When you open up a sefer, right? Oh, I have the right shot. No. What does the author want to tell you? What does the Ari want to tell you? What does the Rashbi want to tell you? You know, the other day that some guy texted me. He's like, I want to buy a book to learn Otzrot Hayim. So I told him, I said, listen, I don't suggest you buy this book. I told him, don't buy this book. Buy a different book. Then I wanted to text him. I said, does this guy who wants to learn Otzrot Hayim, does he have midot? Did he work on his kelim? Does he have a rebbe? Today, this limud became like a newspaper. You come to shul, open up, you think you already became the Ari HaKadosh. And you know what? They don't finish the book. You know why? The book spits him out. Pooh, he spits him out. Like the fish spit out Yonah. That's what the book. Why does it do it? If you're not ready, if you don't work hard like the Ari did, you're not gonna be successful. You're not gonna be successful. Another thing that Ari told Rabbi Chaim Vital, because you know why I was successful more than you and the Ramak? When I used to have a cup of water, cup of meat, a piece of meat, piece of chicken, piece of fish. When I used to make kavanot, brachot, where would I have most of my kavanot? When I used to eat food. The brachot hanehenin, says the Ari HaKadosh, is the main way you get Ruach HaKodesh. Why? Ki hadam hu hanefesh. We learned yesterday in Otzrot Chaim. Where is your nefesh behemit? In your blood. And in your blood, where's your nefesh behemit, comes your nefesh hasichlit. But if your nefesh behemit is krum, as they say in Yiddish, it's no good, then your nefesh hasichlit doesn't have the horse that it needs to ride to do the mitzvah. You know what a thoroughbred horse is? When they ride the derbies, they ride thoroughbred horses. You know what those thoroughbred horses are? They run short distances for very fast. We're not looking for thoroughbred horses. We need to ride long distances and fast pace. We don't need derby horses. You understand? We need to go on the long haul. That's why hitlavut is dangerous. You know what hitlavut is? When you get excited, it's dangerous. Why? What is David HaMelech saying in Tehillim? Begilu bir'ada. Be excited, but with fear. Why with fear? Why did be excited? Why did be fearful if you're excited? You have to be. I like that word. You have to be cautious, because when you get excited, suddenly the test comes, and when the test comes and you're not ready, you don't just fall. You fall all the way down, bar minan. And when you fall down, suddenly, if you don't have the right support, you can't get up. You cannot get up. This is a very good shiur, I'll tell you what, for high school kids. You know, when you get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and you want to do mitzvot ma'asitei, I'm going to tell you about Rabbi Shimon Agassi today. Rabbi, what can I tell about Rabbi Shimon Agassi? The Rebbe and the Chaver Rabbi Daftaya. I'm going to tell you something about Rabbi Shimon Agassi, then I'm going to tell you from the parasha, such a pshat. I want to tell you guys tonight. B'Shem Hashem Naseh v'Natzleach. I promise you one thing. Tonight is 1,000 times stronger than Yom Kippur. Tonight. The day before Tisha B'Av, and I'm going to tell you why. You know who I heard this from? The Rosh Yeshivat of R.Shalom of Beneyahu Shmueli. I'm going to tell you such a pshat tonight. Why? I want to tell you guys this last night. but Hashem saved it for tonight. I wasn't going to make the HELLULA today. I wasn't going to make it. I never made a HELLULA from Shimon Agassi. Never. Who knows all my HELLULot? Never. I go straight from the Ari. If I make it for Adi, straight to Rabbi Daftaya. By the way, it's taken already. So don't try to... you're not going to get it anyways. What happened? I said, Hashem Yitbarach, if this is meant to be the HELLULA, somebody's going to call me by themselves, and they're going to say to me, do the HELLULA, I'm sponsoring it right away. I didn't put on the chat, nothing. You saw? This morning, even before, I didn't even finish saying it, before I even prayed Shacharit. Or was it right after? Somebody texts me, please make the HELLULA for Shimon Agassi, I got you. I said to myself, I'm not going to pay attention. I said it, but I didn't want to do it. Day before Tisha B'Av, I want to learn. Tonight is the day. I'm going to tell you something that happened tonight. This night tonight is the greatest. I'm going to tell you in a minute. I'm sitting down. My wife comes to me. She's like, are you going to make the HELLULA of Shimon Agassi tonight? 7-8 years are married. You never told me such a thing. And suddenly you say do the HELLULA. I said, Atkan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent enough signs. I'm doing the HELLULA tonight. I'm going to tell you something the Sadeh says, Rabotai. The Sadeh, Rabbi Shaul Chaim Duweka Kohen. May we be zochet to make for him a HELLULA too. Amen. The Sadeh says, anytime you make a Shiur Torah, and in this Shiur Torah you mention the Torah of the Tzaddik, especially if it's HELLULA, Muftach Lecha. You know what Muftach Lecha means? You know what Muftach Lecha means? It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed, not warranty. Guaranteed that the Tzaddik's Neshama is down here with you. And you could ask him, the Sadeh says, you could ask him whatever you ask him as if you're on his kibbutz. And I want to tell you even more than that. As the more that Tzaddik's Yortzites pass, the greater he gets.
Less people remember.
So the Rabbi Shimon Agassi and Rabbi Yitzchak Zilber of today is not the Rabbi Shimon Agassi and Rabbi Yitzchak Zilber 100 years ago.
Last year.
And you're Zocher, Rabbi say, who makes HELLULA for him? Day before Tisha B'Av, and Basar, and Yayin. Who makes HELLULA for him? Guarantee almost, I say almost just in case, almost no one. And you're sitting here and you know where Rabbi Shimon Agassi is? Rabbi Yehuda Pteya said on him, he was the Moshe Rabbeinu of the generation. When the Ben Ish Chai passed away, all of Baghdad was crying their hearts out. They thought the Ben Ish Chai was Mashiach. You know what the Ben Ish Chai was? 20. You know that picture we have of the Ben Ish Chai? He's 26 years old over there. He was such a big tzaddik, the Ben Ish Chai. When his father passed away, he said, I'm not taking the Rabbanut of Baghdad. I'm not taking it. I'm working for free. Why did he say that? Because when you work for free, you don't have a all on you. You're volunteering. Nobody's your boss. 30, 40 years, Moreinu of Rabbeinu Ben Ish Chai was the Rabbi of Baghdad. You know how he passed away, the Ben Ish Chai? He was on his way back from the grave of Yechezkel HaNavi. He's buried in Iraq. You know that? Yechezkel HaNavi. In Iraq he's buried. On the way back, he passed away. All of Baghdad was crying their hearts out. Why? They didn't imagine in their life that this tzaddik could pass away. Do you know who he was? In his shul in Baghdad, there was 300 people sitting in the stands. They never needed a microphone. From his throat was speaking the Shekhinah, the Ben Ish Chai HaKadosh. The Baba Sali, all of his life cried to Hashem that he should have a beard like the Ben Ish Chai. Yes. Because the Baba Sali's side of his mother's side, they didn't have no beard. They were hairless. He was crying to Hashem, please bless me, I should have 3-4 hairs, something like the Ben Ish Chai, something. The Ben Ish Chai's beard was the beard of Arich Pin, Keter, of Atzilut. The Ben Ish Chai, who's the Ben Ish Chai? Could you imagine the Ben Ish Chai? He reached the level that we know of Ruach da Atzilut. That Zihara Ila'ad, that means before Adam HaRishon sinned.
It's so important beard for him.
Yes, and the Ben Ish Chai said he had a book, Shara Gilgulim, his own Shara Gilgulim. Not the Aris. He had his own Shara Gilgulim, the Ben Ish Chai. He wrote all the Gilgulim of the rabbis of his generation. Till today, this book is somewhere around. They don't let it out. They don't print it. His son, Rabbi Yaakov Chaim, he had one son, one daughter. His wife's name was Mazal Tov. his wife died. In the middle of the levayat, she wakes up from the dead. Clinical death. But not 5 minutes, like today they say, I died, I came back to life. She was dead for a couple of hours, good. In the middle of the levayat, she wakes up from the thing. They drop her bed, like the coffin. Everyone ran like 50 million directions. His wife's name was Mazal Tov. Bukhari. No, she wasn't Bukhari. She wasn't Bukhari. Mazal. Yeah, her name was Mazal Tov. Tentenuit, bam bam, Mazal Tov. I'm kidding. So, the Ben Ish Chai wrote a book of Gilgulim of people around his son Rabbi Yaakov Hayim. He once said his father, the Ben Ish Chai, used to wear too small tefillins. Too small. And one day he said, when my father is teaching Gemara, after Shahari, the Ben Ish Chai wouldn't eat or drink. He would take off his Rashi, just wear his Rabbeinu Tams, and teach a shiur of Gemara, Ein Yaakov, to Balabatim. Balabatim is a regular folk, working class people. Yeah, business guys. Used to stay 1 hour. Nobody used to move from the shul. Till today, we have all of his chidushim on the Gemara called Ben Yehoyada. If you're gonna see the chidushim over there, you're gonna say Kakoi working class. What are we gonna say? So Rabbi Yaakov Hayim, the son of the Ben Ish Chai, said, I'm gonna go see while my father is teaching his book of Gilgulim. I wanna see Kakoi Gilgulim is over there. The Ben Ish Chai used to hide in his attic. There was a tile on the top. He used to open up the tile and he used to put the book over there. He goes over there, his son, he opens it up. He opens the book straight to whose Gilgul? His own Gilgul. What's his Gilgul? One of the worst people in human history. Achav Melech Yisrael. He's one of the 3 kings who have no Olam Haba. He sees that, he almost faints on the spot.
So how is he getting Gilgul if he doesn't have Olam Haba?
Imagine the same Rish'ut that he had, the same amount of Rasha that he was, that's how much Kedusha he had. The Kedusha came back in the Ben Ish Chai son. He saw that but imagine, it's not, you think, I don't know, you're a Nitzotz of Moshe, I don't know, some Navi, you could be, it's very possible. Suddenly you see your Achav Melech Yisrael. Hatkafat Lev you get over there. Right away the Ben Ish Chai sends to his student, says, go upstairs, somebody's touching my book over there. I feel somebody, my tefillin doesn't feel right. Somebody's touching my book over there. He goes up, he finds his son like this over there. Zapadah on the floor. The Ben Ish Chai says, why did you look in a book that you weren't supposed to look at? Why did you look somewhere? You're not supposed to look at his book. He takes the book, he hides it. They say Rabbi Yehuda Ptaya saw that book and nobody has seen it ever since. That's what they say. Nobody has seen this book ever since. Rabbi Shimon Agassi and Rabbi Yehuda Ptaya had a similar book of Gilgulim and Chezyonot visions that they saw. I'm going to read you, if we have time tonight, from one of the visions that he saw. If you guys are going to, maybe I'll tell it to you outside, I don't have time to read it to you inside. You guys are going to see what kind of people we have in Klal Yisrael. So what kind of people, our boy say. You guys are going to shake. We could reach those levels. You know how he started, Rabbi Shimon Agassi? You know how he started? I have his book. Rav Yaakov Hillel has from the Genizah, his book, the things that he took upon himself in his teenage years. When he was a teenager. 16, 17, 18. He writes over there, Kabbalot. You know what Kabbalot is? Things I take upon myself. He says, I take upon myself not to eat watermelon only on Shabbat. Why? In Baghdad, it was hot. They used to eat watermelon to cool themselves down. He says, I'm taking upon myself to hold my Yitzhara only to eat watermelon. Watermelon back then was a commodity. Only on Shabbat. I'm only going to eat basar a little bit on Shabbat. I'm not going to go swimming only if I need to exercise. Swimming in the river over there in Baghdad. I don't know, what river is it? Pishon, Yon, I think Gichon. Prat. Is it Prat? Prat. They used to swim over there to get exercise. I'm not going to swim. Only if I need to feel that I need to stretch myself. This is when he was 16, 17 years old. He said, I take upon myself, Rabbi Shimon Agassi, I take upon myself, when I'm sitting in a group of chachamim, to hold my tongue, shtika. Even though I argue on them, even though I don't see the same thing on them, shtika. Until the Ben Ish Chai passed away, nobody even knew who he was. They thought he was just some, you know what his job was? He used to sell detergent in the Baghdad market. They thought he was a detergent seller. Rabbi Shimon Agassi!
Regular folk.
Regular folk. No, in the yeshiva world, they knew who he was, but he was so quiet to himself. Shtika. Why? Siyag lechochma shtika. When a person is, how do you know a person is chacham? When he has shtika. Why? The Ari Kadosh explains that the Sfira of Chokhmah, one of its revelations is when you see a person, he's shotek all the time. He's silent. That's why, what Sfira is Chokhmah? What Partzuf is Chokhmah? Partzuf. You have Arich, Abba. Abba is Chokhmah. You ever realize when you're with your wife, which one of you are always quiet? The father is always quiet. Because your shorish is chokhmah, the klalut de chokhmah of Abba. So therefore, chsiag le chokhmah shtika. The Abba is always shotek. He has nothing to say. Not because he doesn't want to say. He has nothing to say. And he has no choice to say. And there's nothing to say. That's why, you guys remember the story in the Gemara? Rav told Rav Kahana, when you go to Eretz Yisrael, to Rabbi Yochanan, take upon yourself 7 years, shut your mouth. Don't. Why did he tell him that? The Ari Kadosh says from the partzuf of Abba, Sfirat HaChokhmah, comes Chayim. Why? When only Mama's home, she cannot. She could fight with the bullies in the park, not in Cunningham Park, but she could fight with the bullies in the park. But Abba, he's the one with the gun at home. If a robber comes inside, who's going to take care of the robber? Not Ima. Only Abba. So Abba is Shoresh HaChayim. Not Ima. Bina is not Shoresh HaChayim. Abba is Shoresh HaChayim. You understand? So Rabbi Shimon Agassi took upon himself to be always Listom metapeh. Shut your mouth. Don't say anything. I want to tell you guys something crazy. You see this book I have over here, Bnei Aharon? Rabbi Shimon Agassi, this is his actual letters. He actually wrote this book. This is the actual print of his book. The Ari has Shmona Sha'arim, 8 gates. 8 gates. The last gate is Shara Gilgulim. Why did Rabbi Shimon Agassi write a Pirush on the last gate, not on all the other gates? When his sons died, I told you guys this story on Motzei Shabbat. When his sons died, he was so distraught. He had 2 sons died. One of them died on the night of his wedding. On the night of his wedding, he died. It was Purim. Or close to Purim. He couldn't calm down to the point, after he passed away, Rabbi Shimon Agassi, Rabbi Yehuda Ptaya made a She'elat Chalom. You know what She'elat Chalom is? You ask a question in your dream. And he asked his good friend, Rabbi Shimon Agassi, says, did you calm down? After you passed away, did you finally calm? You know what he said to him in a dream? A little. Hitnahamta, a little. Since his son Aharon died, he never changed his hat. He put a black turban on, black, and he never changed. He never took nehama. He knew that his son's neshama was the Gilgul of Nadav and Avihu. I told you guys the story on Motzei Shabbat. If you guys want to see the viewers in the Shiur Ariya Kadosh Secrets of the Neshama, that story is said over there. I'm not going to repeat the story right now. Rabbi Shimon Agassi was such a chacham, was such a tzaddik. When they got his Perush on Shara Gilgulim in Eretz Yisrael, they say the Baal Shemin Sasson, which is the encyclopedia of the Etz Hayim. He's called the encyclopedia. They said if Rabbi Shimon Agassi would have wrote a Perush on all the Shmona Sha'arim, all the Etz Hayim, we would leave all the commentaries and just learn his Perush. That's why till today you only have one Perush on Shara Gilgulim. You don't have any commentators on Shara Gilgulim. Only who? Bnei Aharon. He was so thorough. He was so good. He was so strong. He was so precise that we don't need any more Perushim. Like Moshe Rabbeinu on the Tanakh, that's where Rabbi Shimon Agassi used to Shara Gilgulim. When I used to teach Shara Gilgulim in the shul, I used to teach with the Perushim of who? The Bnei Aharon. Rabbi Shimon Agassi. But I'm not here to tell you, I want to tell you guys a midrash. This midrash is superb, Rabbi Saitz. When I heard this midrash, I heard it 2 days ago. I'm telling you, if you just came to the shiur to hear this midrash, Ashrecha, Dayeka, it was enough. I started up the shiur. I was telling you guys that tonight is 1,000 times stronger than Yom Kippur. What am I basing this on? This past Shabbat, Neria, somebody asked me in the shul, who were the Jews that got into Eretz Yisrael? Who were they? How many Jews were there? So I told him, open up Sefer Pinchas. You see that Hashem counted the Jewish people. How many are there? 600,000 and change. Yes?
Yeah.
In Parashat Bamidbar, Hashem also counts the Jews. How many are there? Also 600,000 and change. Those 600,000 in Bamidbar all died. What was left? Those their kids. The 600,000 that we have in Parashat Pinchas. That was after Shevet Shimon assimilates with the Midianite girls, and all the shtuyot happens over there, and Pinchas comes and kills Cosbi and Zimri. So we have 600,000 and change Jews, right? The Midrash asks a question. This week's parasha has a very interesting word it starts with. Ve'et hanan el Adonai be'et hahi le'emor. And I pray to Hashem at that time, saying. So the Midrash says, when did he pray? We know there is a Midrash Rabbah in Zot HaBracha that says Moshe Rabbeinu prayed how many prayers? 515. Kiminyan Zot HaBracha. The Gematria Ve'et Hanan is 515. Moshe Rabbeinu prayed 515 prayers to come inside Eretz Yisrael. And what does Hashem tell him? Al tosef daber alai od b'davar hazeh. Stop. Do not continue. Do not pray anymore. Stop. Don't ask me again. But the question is, when did Moshe started praying? What does that mean? And I pray to Hashem at that time. What's that time, Avraham? What do you think? What's that time? What do you think? What? The Exodus? How is that possible? You only knew at the end that he's not going in. And when he hit the rock, right? That was the death of Miriam. There were 3 times God told Moses that he's not going in. The last time was when he hit the rock.
The first time was by the bush.
By the bush, right. Second time is when he came to Pharaoh the first time. He told him, "Why did you send me?"
Right.
And Hashem said, "Because you said that, I'm not putting it inside your Yisrael." And the third time is at the end of the 40 years when he hit the rock. Hashem said, "Forget about it." Now it's not just a Rashi anymore. Now he told him in the Pasuk, "You're not coming in." That means the first 2 times there was still a chance to turn around the tide. The last time already was final, right? 3 times the chazak. So when did Moshe Rabbeinu pray 515 prayers? I'll tell you. The Medrash says, when the Jews were sent the spies in the desert, they sent them in the 2nd year, right? It was the 2nd year. In Shiva Asar Betamuz. When did they come back? Tisha B'Av. It was 9th of Av. Tomorrow night they came back. And they cried, and Hashem said, "You guys cry tonight. I promise you it will be a day of crying till the end of days. Every day on this day, every year on this day, you will cry, whether you like it or not." The Midrash says that the Jewish people used to dig their own graves, and they wouldn't know if they would wake up. 600,000 and change. They would dig their own graves. They would go inside their grave. If you woke up the next morning, you woke up. If not. But the Midrash says, you know when they used to die? They wouldn't die the whole year. When would they die? On Tisha B'Av. So let's make the math. If you have, let's say 600,000 Jews. If every year on Tisha B'Av for 38 years, because it was in the 2nd year, on Tisha B'Av, the Jews passed away. How many each year passed away on Tisha B'Av? 15 to 16,000 Jews. 15,700 and change. That means every year on Tisha B'Av, they would dig their graves. They would go inside and and when would they dig their graves? The night before, right? Tonight. They would dig their graves. I'm getting to it. They would dig their graves and they would go inside. If they woke up, they woke up. Now I want to ask you guys, you have 600 and change. They knew for a fact that 15,700 is not waking up tomorrow. Could you imagine the bchiyot, the crying that night, the pain. Yom Kippur, forget about Yom Kippur. That night was 1,000 Yom Kippurs. They would go ballistic. And in that, they wouldn't just cry. Their kids would cry with them. Their wives, because the wives, Rashi says, did not be in the curse of the spies. They weren't in the curse.
They came out.
They came out. The woman did go inside Eretz Israel. That's what the Bukharian grandmothers, they have to call. All the grandmothers have to call. They're not afraid of nobody, right? But the men, they messed up in the Egel and they messed up in the Meraglim. It's a Rashi. That means every year in Tisha B'Av, 15 to 16,000 Jews knew that they were gonna die. Imagine the pain. Imagine the crying. Imagine the bchiyot. Yom Kippur klum. Yom Kippur was nothing compared to that. Imagine a person knows tomorrow you have a very good chance of not waking up the next day. And not only they would cry, their families, their cousins, they were all one family. The whole Klal Yisrael would cry. Hashem said, you cried one night, it's going to be Yom B'chiyah Ledorot. Like this 38 years. Every Tisha B'Av, crying. Bar Minan. They get to the last year. The last 15,700 are left. Now they don't think, they know tomorrow they're not waking up. If all of those 38 years they were crying, that night, you know how much they were crying? That was tonight. You know how much they cried tonight? They cried their Teshuvah. Forget about Yom Kippur. Tonight was a night of Teshuvah. Teshuvah Ledorot. They were making vidui. They were crying. They were giving tzedakah. They were giving their thing. They knew they were dying. Hakafot? Around their own grave, maybe they were doing hakafot. They were going ballistic. All of Klal Yisrael, these guys are going. They dig their own grave. They go inside. The next morning, Tisha B'Av, they're all awake. Chai, maybe we make a mistake in the calendar.
Tomorrow.
Next day, again, bchiyot, crying, going crazy. Next morning, shofar blows. They all wake up. Next day, again, they blow the shofar, go crazy. Again, they wake up like this. How many days? Till the 15th of Av. Until Tu B'Av. When Tu B'Av hit and they all woke up, those last 15 months of it, they knew the Gzerah was canceled. And those 15,700 leftover Jews, they went inside Eretz Yisrael.
What was their school?
What were they zocheh that those others didn't zocheh? Because it's not the same when you think that you might wake up and you know you're not going to wake up. When you think, but I might wake up, there's a 50-50 chance I might wake up tomorrow, you cry. But you don't cry as much as if you know 100% tomorrow I'm not waking up. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Midrash says this, they cried from the neshama, they're going in. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu meant when he said, Ve'et chanan el Hashem. You know when he cried to Hashem? Be'et hahi. On Tu B'Av, when he saw that Hashem forgave those last 15,700, Hashem could forgive them for the meraglim and the egel hazahav, so he could forgive me too. That's when I cried 515 prayers. That means Be'et hahi. Rabbi said, do you hear the chiddush over here? I don't know, I'm getting goosebumps saying this to you. Do you hear this? It's gigantic. That's what it means, Be'et hahi. Hashem said, those guys are not going inside. Hashem forgave them. Because they did tshuva. Moshe said, they did tshuva? I'm going to do tshuva the heart too. But what did Hashem say? Al tosef daber elai od b'davar hazeh. Why? Why did Hashem not get his tshuva? I'm going to give you another chidush, even greater than this one that you guys just heard. In the Egel HaZahav, you think when Moshe Rabbeinu prayed, he prayed like we prayed? He knew all the yichudim of the Arya Kadosh, all the kavanot of the Rashash, he knew all the kavanot of the Ramak, he knew all the connections. His davening was straight to Ak, higher than Ak. Avirat Hadma'a he went to. Tehiru de Liba. How come Hashem didn't accept it? Hashem said, accept it? Why should I accept it? When you prayed for the Egel HaZahav, the Medrash says, Moshe went to Hashem and he said to him, Hashem, you told Avraham Avinu, if I find 10 tzaddikim in Klal Yisrael, I'll save him. So Hashem said, you're right. If you find me 10 tzaddikim in Klal Yisrael today, I save them. The Medrash says Moshe couldn't find 10. How many did he find? 7. That's when he said, Zechor le'Avraham, le'Yitzchak, or le'Yaakov. Moshe Rabbeinu told the Kadosh Baruch Hu, tzaddikim in their death are kruyim chayim, they're alive. So let's count 7 plus Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. 7 plus 3 is how much? 10. Hashem said, you know what? Vayomer Hashem salachti kidvarecha. You're right, I forgive you. Tzadikim b'miyudam kriyim chayim. I don't know who the 7 were. But the Midrash says there were 7, and that Moshe Rabbeinu counted Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov.
Aaron's 4 kids.
But Aaron, not him. Aaron himself, he made an egg, probably. Let's go to going inside Klal Yisrael. Now that Moshe Rabbeinu is davening to Hashem. Hashem says to Moshe, you want to go to Eretz Yisrael? What zechut you have? 5. Moshe says, 515 prayers I davened. I want to ask you guys a question. Who's the first human being in the history of Am Yisrael? Adam. Take the word Adam. Make the milui. Aleph is how much? Aleph, Lamed, Fei. Take out the Aleph, how much you have? Lamed, Fei. Dalet is what? Lamed, Taf. Dalet, Lamed, Taf. Dalet. Take out the Dalet, just the Lamed. We have Lamed, Fei, Lamed, Taf. Mem is how much? Mem. What do you have? Mitpalel. What's the essence of Adam? Mitpalel. What's Mitpalel? Pray. To pray. That's the essence of man. The milui of Adam is Mitpalel. That's the milui of Adam, the word Adam. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, you know what? I have to go inside Israel. You know what? I'll tell you what. Moshe Rabbeinu says, take me in. Hashem says, you can't come in. Why can't you come in? It's time for Yeshua to be king. Moshe said, no problem, Hashem. He's going to be the Rebbe. And I'll be his student. Va'ish Moshe anav me'od. Mikol adam asher pnei adama. He's the most humble man. So he'll be the Rebbe, I'll be the student. Hashem said, no, you can't go in. So Moshe said, Ebrana. What's Ebrana? Let me go in, please. Na, in Hebrew, is 51. Gematria. How big is the Yarden? How many amot is the Yarden? 50. Moshe said, let me go in 51 amot. Let me just step one step inside Eretz Yisrael. One step. Hashem said, no. Moshe said, let me go in as a bird. Hashem said, no. So Moshe said to Hashem, you know why you have to let me in? Because you keep the Torah. Hashem keeps the Torah. And in the Torah it says, when you make a promise, when you make a swear, a promise, a neder. Let's say me and Daniel make a neder together. Me and you. And something happens and you can't keep the neder. You're off. Since we made it together, I'm annulled too, automatically. You guys get it? If 2 people make a neder together, if half batel miktzata, batel kula. If half of the neder is cancelled, the other half is also cancelled. So Moshe said to Hashem, when you told me I can't go into Israel the last time, the 3rd time when I hit the rock, what did you tell me? You and Aharon can't go in. Aharon is dead. Hashem said, oh, he's dead? But didn't you tell me Avraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov are still alive? Tzadikim v'mitatam kruim chayim. Well, guess what, Tzadik? Also, Aharon is considered b'chayim. So you made me go through that promise back then. Same too right now, Habibi. Unless you want me to null and void the Egel HaZahav. If you want me to null and void, then I'll let you inside, Habibi. Moshe said, you know what? I'm out. Khalas. 515 and no more. And Moshe didn't go inside Eretz Yisrael. Do you hear the chidush? Do you hear that? This should shock you to your core. Tonight is the night that this conversation happened between Hashem and Moshe. That means this night has the power of Bichiyal Ledorot. Has the power of Rabbi Yisrael. We should open up the Hechal right now. We should daven. Rabbi Yisrael. We should say Misha Berach. We should daven, do Teshuvah. Tonight is the night. We still have a chance that tomorrow Mashiach could come. If we don't believe that, then we don't believe in the 13 attributes of faith. If you don't believe that at every second it could happen, then you don't believe that it could happen. It could happen tonight. It could happen right now. We don't have to wait till tomorrow. It doesn't have to be a fast day. Tomorrow could be the day that we could bring the Korban Tamid. And all we need is 10 guys. All we need is, if Hashem forgave the last 15,700 Jews to go inside Eretz Yisrael, He could forgive us too. It's been 1,900 and how many years? 52 years. It's enough. Didn't we pay? I'm going to give you a chidush and I'm going to end with this. The Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin says Mashiach will come bedor shukulo zakai or bedor shukulo chayav. I was doing Tikkun Chatzot the other day, in the middle of the day, like I taught you guys. Tikkun Chatzot ben HaMitzarim, and I said to Hashem Yitbarach in the middle, it's good to do Hitbodedut in the middle of Tikkun Chatzot. You don't have to go to the woods to do Hitbodedut. You could do it in the privacy of your house. I said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, we're not Dor Shukulo Zachai. We're Dor Shukulo Chayav. What's worse can you say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? You just said that we're all bad. I'm going to tell you something that Moreinu Rabbeinu Ateret Roshenu Aben Ishchai said in Ben Yehoyada. Listen to this, Rabbi said, if I told you Chidushim tonight, this is going to be the cherry on the top. Why does the Gemara say that Mashiach is going to come in a generation that everyone is bad? You know why? If you learn Masechet Sanhedrin, there is a law. If somebody killed somebody or something that's equal to the 4 cardinal deaths, how many judges you go in front of? 71. That's already, you have to be a Zaken Mamre for that. How many? 20? 23. 23 judges. That's called Sanhedre Kitana. Small Sanhedrin. There is a rule in Masechet Sanhedrin, says the Ben Ishchai and Ben Yehoyada. There are 2 ways to get a guy off the hook. Either you have most of the Sanhedrin that says he's not guilty, or you have everyone that says he's guilty. If all 23 says he's guilty, it's a sign that he's innocent. So the Gemara says Mashiach comes when? If in a generation where everyone is good, that's not going to happen. Or in a generation where everyone is, if everyone is bad, what's the halacha? We're innocent.
Same thing with Tzara.
That's what the Ben Ishchai says. That's the meaning of the Gemara, that everyone is going to be what? Chayav. So you know what I told HaKadosh Baruch Hu? We're all chayav. Yalla, Geula. It's time for the Geula. We have to tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rav Mordechai Atiyah says, we tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu that the Geula is not going to come from us. We try. It's been 1,952 years. We tried. Now it's up to you. Aseh lema'an shimcha. Do it for you. Don't do it for us. On our side, we're all chayav. And that's the kaf zechut, by the way. Because if we're all chayav, what are we? Patur. We're innocent. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless us on this day, which is day of the greatest teshuvah. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave those last 15,700 Jews. And the day where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says we could change it. The day of Sason v'Simcha. The zchut Rabbi Shimon Agassi, Rabbi Yitzchak Zilber. The zchut tzadikim yamod aleinu. May we be zocheh lebracha v'atzlacha yeshuot gedolot. May we be zocheh lemechila slicha v'chapara. Ahavat chinam. Bracha, yeshuot, parnasa, refuah, v'chol midei meitav v'chen yitzum v'nomar. Amen. Rabbi Hanina ben Akashia Omer, Ratzah, Kadosh Baruch Hu